Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. If you're a Windsor Transit user, officials are encouraging you to make alternative plans of getting around. Come Monday, bus drivers and other staff may be off on strike. Plus, criticism tonight over an award given by the University of Windsor honoring faculty members who worked on a Black History research project. And the Detroit Lions have a big weekend ahead of them. It's the first time in 8 years the Lions have made the playoffs. The last time they won a playoff game, 1992. Tonight we hear from some excited fans. We begin tonight with something that's hard to miss. That snow has been coming down quick for the past few hours now, and it's set to continue until tomorrow morning. It's making for a pretty messy commute home, so if you don't have to be out, I suggest you stay warm inside. There's currently a weather advisory in effect. Environment Canada says these periods of heavy snow should be ending soon. Then the temperature will actually increase slightly as we get closer to midnight. Because of that, officials say there will be periods of rain before turning back into snow early in the morning. We're expecting about 5 centimeters of snow tonight and another 2 centimeters tomorrow. We'll bring you a full look at the weather forecast coming up a little later in the show. If you take the bus to school or work, the city is urging you to make alternate arrangements. 300 members of the Amalgamated Transit Union may be on strike come Monday. The union has set a deadline of 12:01 early Monday morning. For more on this, the CBC's Dale Molnar is standing by at the downtown bus terminal. Dale, I understand strike or no strike, there has already been a cancellation of service.
Could be a condition called exocrine.
That's right, Meg. Transit Windsor has already canceled the special events Lions tunnel bus to the Lions game on Sunday night. That's because they were concerned about the possibility of a strike. Now, that's already impacted 125 people who have already purchased tickets for the bus. But apparently the union is telling us that the company didn't have to cancel the Lions bus.
We actually approached the employer this morning and reiterated that our operators would continue past midnight if necessary. We actually picked the 12:01 deadline so that all the buses that were out in service could return to the garage and not inconvenience the public.
The way we were looking at it from our point of view was to be on the cautious side and just cancel the service. And it's we understand it's inconvenient. There will be full refunds issued to anybody that purchased the ticket, and so we will make sure full refunds are issued.
If the strike happens Monday morning, people are now starting to worry how they'll get to work.
I can't get to work if I can't get the bus on Monday. I'll have to take a taxi, which is about a quarter of my paycheck.
Transit just takes like $3 or something, and we are students, so we have our bus pass, so it's like free for us. But booking cab, going anywhere, it's going to be, of course, expensive.
So if I take a cab, it's like 2 hours of my pay. So if I'm working for 5 hours, it means I'm using 2 hours to get to pay for my transportation.
St. Clair College is urging students to keep an eye on the news and be ready to make other plans, perhaps carpooling.
There is talk about that. I said people are asking about Uber, conversations that we've never had about Uber, taxi services. There are carpools people talking about, but again, we've known about this for probably about 48 hours. So the conversation has begun, and we'll have to get by.
Talks are ongoing between the Amalgamated Transit Union and Transit Windsor at the casino. The lead negotiator says they are looking for improvements to wages, working conditions, health and safety concerns, and better scheduling.
We just want reasonable and fair wages like other transit properties in the province and across the country. We're not being unreasonable.
So they're looking for wage increases of between 3% and 4%. Both sides are pledging to continue that bargaining at the casino until they reach a settlement, hopefully without a strike. Now, Mark Winterton tells me that a federal mediator is helping with those negotiations. The last time we were in a position like this was 2020, but a strike was averted when the two sides reached an agreement at the last minute. There has not been a Transit Windsor strike in Windsor for over 30 years. Meg?
Thanks so much for that, Dale, and drive safe on your way home. The city of Windsor and federal government are still in talks about $70 million in housing support. This comes after council made a decision that could jeopardize that money 1 month ago. An update's supposed to come today, but as the CBC's Dawson Chen reports, the wait continues.
Will Windsor miss out on the federal Housing Accelerator Fund? This morning, Mayor Drew Dilkens was set to hold a news conference addressing that very question, but he canceled at the last minute. According to the mayor's office, discussions with the federal housing minister are ongoing. The issue remains the city's refusal to change zoning bylaws so that fourplex residences can be built anywhere in the city. That's one of the conditions the federal government asks of applicants to the Housing Accelerator Fund. Access to the fund assures $40 million in federal support for city infrastructure and up to $30 million more if certain benchmarks are met. But at a special meeting of council on December 13th, members voted 8-2 against making the necessary amendment. The mayor has argued that allowing fourplexes everywhere in the city does not respect Windsor homeowners and the character of neighborhoods. For at least 2 councillors, that's a disappointing stance.
That is a big missed opportunity, and I don't know how we're going to be able to make it up with respect to social and affordable housing and dealing with our homelessness crisis. The municipality alone cannot materially solve the affordable housing crisis. We don't have the funds for it. And certainly we can, play our role, but we need that level of funding to really address this issue.
Right now, the chances are very slim that the issue would be able to come back to council with a clean shot, as I've been calling it. I'm not very optimistic that we're going to find a way to land in a different place. But there's no getting away from this issue. It's not about political theater. It's about a really serious issue in our community. I think we've missed a significant opportunity.
Council's next regular meeting is on Monday. But as of Friday, the meeting agenda shows no new report on the Housing Accelerator Fund. That means Council's December 13th vote will stand, unless something has come from the mayor's discussions with federal representatives today. Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
The University of Windsor says it expresses profound regret. That's for not recognizing Black women who led a Black history research project on the McDougall Street corridor. The goal of the project, which launched last year, was to map what the McDougall area, a historically Black neighborhood, looked like in terms of the people who live there, businesses, and more. The lead researcher for the project, a Black graduate student. But the University of Windsor awarded 3 white faculty members who were also involved in the project for their work. The award was for faculty members only, but there's criticism about the lack of recognition for the Black women involved. The university is saying in a statement, "We sincerely acknowledge and express our profound regret for the harm that was done to individuals, the Black community, and research participants by our failure to recognize the invaluable efforts and significant contributions of graduate research student Willow Key and community collaborator Irene Moore Davis."
Not that I feel that I need recognition, but it definitely hurt a little bit that the project was getting noticed, but I sort of wasn't a part of any of that.
Lead researcher Willow Key says she wasn't invited to the awards ceremony until the day of. She's calling the lack of recognition an oversight and not racist in nature or intent. But some local anti-Black racism advocates say they don't see it the same way.
Simply, when we talk about anti-Black racism in Canada, we talk about the exclusion, the marginalization, the invisibilization, and the silencing of Black people in Black stories, and the visibilization and celebration of white people. I can't think of a better example.
The University of Windsor says it's actively working with those affected to rectify its oversight and said it's essential for them to learn from their errors and engage in meaningful reflection. Big changes coming to the auto show in Detroit. The North American International Auto Show will no longer happen in the summer. Starting in 2025, all of the shiny new cars and latest in technology can be seen in January. When asked why this change has been made, organizers say they believe a January date makes the most sense after discussions with numerous partners. That will continue to take place at the Huntington Place in downtown Detroit, formerly known as Cobo Hall. The Detroit Auto Show is scheduled for January 10th through the 20th next year. The Canadian Medical Association is calling for immediate action to address what it calls a nationwide healthcare crisis. Deshauna Reed has more on the growing push for solutions.
Facing a record number of patients over the last few weeks, this Toronto hospital is doing what it can to keep wait times down.
I am in a lot of pain. If you ask me from 0 to 10, I would tell you 15.
But after dealing with a severe headache for 24 hours, this man felt the need to go to the ER.
This way?
Now he's facing a familiar scene playing out across Canada: overcrowding and long delays. The Canadian Medical Association is calling for an overhaul to the system, saying ERs shouldn't be substitutes for walk-in clinics or primary care. We are facing a primary care crisis in this country, and we urgently need to find solutions. They say we need more family doctors to help as the situation grows bleaker.
20 hours, 30 hours, 50 hours. I've seen 100 hours, people waiting to get into hospital on stretchers in hallways.
Hospitals in New Brunswick say they've reached critical overcapacity, while in BC, officials say they hit a record number of patients in hospital, more than 10,400 in just one day. Staffing shortages, surgery backlogs, and an influx of respiratory illness are just some of the additional pressures. There were calls to avoid ERs for non-urgent matters in Quebec, but this doctor says that's not the answer.
At the end of it, the wrong people stay away. And telling them to stay away puts them at great risk.
Some solutions are underway. Manitoba's government announced it will phase in 36 new acute care beds starting in March. In Ontario, the health ministry told hospitals to increase staffing by 20%.
We increased the number of available physicians and nurses in order to meet those demands.
After nearly 4 hours, Gabriel Shimada was relieved to see a doctor, something many others are still waiting for. Deshauna Reed, CBC News, Toronto.
Students at a couple of Catholic high schools here in Windsor run their cafeterias as a business. It started as a pilot project last year, but with the cost of food on the rise, these programs have had to adapt. Windsor Morning's Amy Dodge swung by the kitchen at Assumption College Catholic High School to get a taste of the culinary program in action.
How has this program changed your relationship with food?
I definitely think before I even took this class, I just thought, I just have to eat food to have energy or something. But now it's put effort into your food, put love into it. It'll you'll feel more proud of the meal you make once you see the reaction of others around you over it. And if it looks good, it's gonna taste good for the most part, especially in our class. Ms. Mitala likes to emphasize how good food looks, but it also has to taste good as well.
What's the expectation once you get home? Are you expected to make dinner?
No, for me, I usually have my mom cook for the whole family, so coming to class and actually learning something I can put into cooking for myself at home also helps.
I feel like with this class, especially with how diverse we are, students, teachers alike, I feel like you get to expand your knowledge on different culture, different cuisine, and you really get to open up your palate to those different flavors and those different experiences, so it's definitely nice.
Wipe your area every single time.
How popular is it for people to buy other students' food?
I think it's really popular. The kids brag about it. It's to see it, it's unbelievable because the kids have so much pride in what they're doing. The kids love this program. These type of programs are so transferable. Their skills, they take them with them to the university. If they're going to university, they can cook for themselves. And I also think respect for food is important and knowing where your food comes from.
A Windsor man chose the right year to become a Detroit Lions season ticket holder. The team will host a playoff game for the first time in 30 years. The big game will be Sunday night. Roland T-Bear was in our studio this morning to sing the official fight song of the Detroit Lions, sung at Ford Field after the team scores a touchdown.
Forward down the field, a Lions team that will not yield, and win the blue and silver way. Stand and cheer the brave, rock, rock, rock. Go hard with the game. Reminder you will gain your fame. Down the field and gain a Lions victory. Go Lions!
Lots of fans hoping to hear that song Sunday. Well, not much of a view from our tower camera there. Mike, can we give it a wipe? Oh, there we go. That's a bit better. Still lots of snow coming down. Your full weather forecast coming up after the break. The second Friday of the year is known as Quitter's Day. It's when most people tend to throw in the towel on the goal they set for the year ahead. CBC's Katie Breen has the story about someone who made a commitment years ago and has stuck to it.
This was Tony Bussey. That is, until the forest fires in Fort McMurray changed his life. When people were being evacuated almost 8 years ago, he needed 2 plane seats.
It was just a lot of how in the world did I let myself get to this? And, you know, I just felt very ashamed. Part of me felt kind of selfish in a way, but yeah, it was a horrible feeling, just kind of hopeless, really.
He's not exactly a New Year's resolutionist, but Bussey does know a thing or two about setting a goal and sticking with it.
And what's worked for me is baby steps. You take small little steps over a long amount of time and you will get results. It's not something that's going to happen a day or a week or even a month. It's a lot of baby steps done over years, and then you develop habits. And then as you develop habits, they become easier and easier to maintain.
He's lost more than 300 pounds since the fire, down from almost 600 pounds at his heaviest. Just over a year ago, Bussy underwent surgery to have the excess skin on his stomach removed, and he has a second skin surgery scheduled for April. It's not just weight. Bussy says any goal can be achieved going bit by bit. And once you start achieving something, he says, the rest just falls into place.
The satisfaction I find of meeting your goal, even trying to attain to it, whether that's financial, whether that's giving up alcohol, drugs, whether that's just improving just something in your day-to-day life, it makes everything else go easier.
Not every day is going to be a success. Bussy says the important thing is to not let a bad day derail you. Failure's part of the process. Bussy says if you pick a goal and stick with it, it can snowball. And the sky's the limit.
It's always been a dream of mine to run a marathon.
Katie Breen, CBC News, St. John's.
Wow, if you're planning on quitting your New Year's resolution, that story there is enough encouragement. How's your New Year's resolution going?
Well, Meg, it's funny that today is the day because my resolution was actually to cut back on ordering fast food. And last night, I did order some panzerotti to be delivered to my home. And I had the leftovers for lunch.
Well, this panzerotti sounds pretty good. How could you resist?
It was worth it.
I would go get some, right after the show, but I am not venturing out on the roads in those conditions.
Yeah, Meg, I'm so glad you brought that up. I would definitely advise you not to do that. There's currently a weather advisory in effect right now for our area, although you can probably just tell by looking out your window or what you saw on our tower cam earlier today. The good news is those periods of heavy snow should be ending soon, and we're not too cold. We're sitting around 3 degrees right now, and that temperature is going to increase slightly as we get closer to midnight. And more of that rain we've been seeing in its place. So before turning back into snow early in the morning, we're expecting about 5 centimeters of that snow tonight, and then another 2 centimeters tomorrow. Saturday, we're seeing periods of snow throughout the day, a high of -2. Sunday, the forecast for all our Lions fans that they've been waiting for. That's when the cold streak starts to sneak in. But good news, Meg, we do have some sun peeking out and still a 40% chance of flurries that day and a high of -9. And that dips to -17 that evening. So bundle up. Put those Lions jerseys on over top of your winter jacket if you have them while you're at the game. Monday, that snow slows down with a mix of sun and cloud, but still chilly with a high of -12. Tuesday, 30% chance of flurries and a high of -9. And Wednesday, another frigid day, but with some sunshine, a mix of sun and cloud forecasted and a high of -11.
Well, I don't think anyone will be mad about a little snow at the Lions game, and I think because so many people here are so hyped up about what's about to happen.
Yeah, Meg, you can definitely feel that energy in the air, and it's exciting for everyone. And I understand that you got a little taste of that from an email we got in.
Yeah, I
did.
Station. I received a really nice email from a woman who said her husband passed away about 9 years ago. He was an all-time Lions fan, and she said she's so excited to see them doing well because she knows he will be watching from up above while we watch down here. And she said he's truly in heaven watching what's happening. And I can kind of relate to this because my grandfather was a diehard Lions fan, and he died about 5 years ago. And so I feel very similar to the way that she feels that he's watching this with all of us. Yeah.
That's so lovely. Yeah, my parents visited earlier last year, and from a street vendor, my dad decided to buy a Lions hat. And the guy who sold him the hat said, you know, I have a good feeling it's going to be a good year for the Lions. So I'm glad my dad got that hat. And Meg, there's something really cool I want to show you before we sign off today. The Spirit of Detroit statue in downtown Detroit. Check this out. Has a giant Lions jersey on there. Now, the statue has worn other jerseys in the past, but this is the first time in a long time it's wearing that Lions jersey with that 90 seasons patch on there to celebrate the 90th seasons. So pretty exciting weekend.
Very exciting, very exciting. Thank you so much for that, Josiah.
Thank you.
We got a little bit more coming up. If your New Year's resolution involves hitting the gym, then this week's Marketplace investigation is a fit for you. This week, the team is testing what you're really touching when you're working out. So what are the germiest surfaces in the places you sweat? Charles Agro has that story.
Even if it's been a while, you've probably noticed these signs. But turns out gym goers are leaving plenty of germs behind.
So the big problem is the sweat, okay? Because what ends up happening is it makes it really easy for you to be able to deposit something onto a surface, but also pick it up.
Microbiologist Jason Tetro says the gym equipment we love to get our hands on can be tricky to get germs off.
If you have crevices, it's impossible to be able to get in there.
To see if gyms are doing enough to keep equipment clean, Marketplace swabbed popular pieces of equipment across multiple locations from 3 national chains. The elliptical had the lowest bacteria count of all the equipment that was tested, but our mat results didn't sit well with anyone.
I know I don't clean mine. the what's it called? The sponge of the gym.
Every time you get up, it's just like a pool of sweat.
More than one mat our team tested had high levels of staph, which, like the other microbes we found, might not be harmful for healthy people, but could be risky if you've got an open wound or are immunocompromised. To stay safe while working out, Tetro says you have to wait before you wipe.
Every single disinfectant has a contact time that is required.
Common disinfectants like bleach or alcohol solutions need to sit wet for 10 minutes to be effective. None of the gyms we visited had clear instructions explaining those critical wait times. But all of them did tell us they're committed to providing a safe and clean environment for their employees and customers. The Fitness Industry Council of Canada says our results are anomalies rather than a reflection of the industry at large. Still, Tetro says you should always wash up after putting the weights down. Charles Agro, CBC News, Toronto.
Here's something wild and strange and yet weirdly cute. This is a mama bear couscous and its 5-month-old baby. They are neither bear nor something you add to your salad. These rare Indonesian marsupials are part of a Berlin Zoo exhibit. The little cub will spend about 8 months with the mother, a lot of it in her pouch. These gentle critters mostly eat leaves and spend a lot of time sleeping. The bear couscous remains a vulnerable species in a specific Indonesian region. That's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you back here next week.